What's up, everybody? Real good here. Let's talk about Thorns. First, if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. And if you want to send me some love, which you do, head over to patreon.com/realgoodlife. I appreciate you. So I'm up cruising through some paradise right now. Take a look. And I just left a campsite full of friends because I was having some ongoing discomfort with one of the other folks who seemed to be having some severe discomfort. Seemed like that person was having some discomfort with me, but in any case, it eventually resulted in me having discomfort. And now I'm noticing a trend because last weekend, if you recall, and we're all watching and paying attention, we had a different group of us, but closely related group of us, had a weekend-long intimacy festival where I spoke up against what I saw as cruelty. And we ended up spending an hour talking about how I spoke up against the cruelty. And I'm finding this a lot, is that speaking up is disruptive. Taking a stand, whether it's against cruelty as you're seeing it or not, is disruptive. For example, with this individual, part of the weird feeling started to come from him standing up for things that he cares about. So standing up for things feels really interesting. So before we get to Thorns, one other thought is, if you're gonna wave a flag, if you're gonna choose a rock to die on, a hill to die on, to defend, if you're going to choose a position and something that you care about and you're going to stick your neck out for, make sure it's worth it. We'll come back to that idea. So Thorns, though, is I've been looking at, okay, last weekend it was someone else, this weekend it was someone else. I'm the common factor here. I think standing up for what I think is right in ways that I know is uncomfortable for people has been disruptive. No surprise. It's also been uncomfortable for me, which is fine. I'm willing to do that work. But I'm also noticing trends with these individuals. With neither of these individuals am I surprised. And so I actually started putting together a list, and I see it as sort of a scoreboard. Like you see the name and like the current standing of how comfortable do I feel. Like, do these people actually feel like they're in my corner, or do they kind of feel like thorns? And what's been the recent change? You know, you see like ticker symbols going up or down. And so I just noticed that there are some folks that have felt like they've changed in standing for me emotionally. Like my trust of our ability to harmoniously get along has shifted. And it's all very nuanced. To be fair, the person last weekend, for example, demonstrated a little bit of a capacity to handle conflict resolution. I mean, virtually none. And the person this weekend shows much more of a capacity to meet and talk. In fact, I'd say this gentleman, we're on par with each other in most of the emotional capacities, but not necessarily the language. Anyways, it doesn't need to be comparisons, but so then there's one standing question of sort of like what to do if you notice a trend in your life of someone that is sharp, feels disagreeable, it's disharmonious when you're around them quite often, or feels high risk to be around them. What do you do? Do you start practicing exclusion? What do you do? And I think this really comes down to recognizing what are our ultimate goals. And if you stuck around with me, I feel different ways about that. In one case, there's the idea in the whole self-help world of like, go out, identify your goals, and then identify a path and do the self-work and take action. Here we spend a lot of time trying to come to reality, where we start and do a somatic check-in. We're actually like, how does my true self feel here now in reality? And we've been using things like 3-factor discernment to decide how we feel about certain people and the time we spend hanging out with them. And sometimes the people, it's unstable, right? Like the second of the 3 factors is how do you feel when you're with them? It's like, maybe it's a flip of a coin. Sometimes it's cool, sometimes it's not. But we can still use this system to discern whether or not it feels harmonious for us to be with someone or not. And this doesn't need to be the end-all be-all. There can be other points of value and reasons of being around someone in a group or even interacting with them one-on-one for any given reason. But so we're just beginning to notice thorns. So that'll be a new keyword for us. So welcome to the thorn concept. Share your comments. How do you handle these sorts of situations? What works for you? Do you just avoid them? Do you try to meet them head on? When you meet them head on, do you make sure you listen and seek to understand first? Do you make sure that you use nonviolent communication and state your needs and requests? How do you do it? Do you just get into fights? Are you very agreeable and you just kind of ignore it? And do you notice that you bottle it up and then later on you burst? Let me know in the comments. How do you handle thorns in your life? Yeah, if you're getting value out of this, hit that like button. More again soon. Appreciate you. Hit that subscribe button. Head over to patreon.com/realgoodlife and send me some love. I'll see you soon.